Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and unexpected aerospace transformations ever, Israel's evolution from relying on foreign jets to creating its own advanced fighters. This story begins in the late 1960s at a moment that shocked Israel and changed its military future forever. After the Six-Day War, many nations placed embargoes on Israel, including France, the very country that had been supplying Israel with its most advanced fighter, the Mirage. Overnight, Israel went from having a reliable supplier to being completely cut off. No spare parts, no upgrades, no new jets. Most countries would have collapsed under this pressure. But Israel made a decision that would define its future. If the world won't sell us jets, we'll build our own. What followed was a daring mix of reverse engineering, innovation, necessity, and raw determination. The Mirage became more than a fighter. It became a blueprint, a puzzle Israel would learn, break apart, and rebuild into something better. This is the beginning of a story about pressure creating power and limitations creating breakthroughs. And it all started with a jet Israel was never supposed to fully understand. The Mirage wasn't just another foreign aircraft. It was the backbone of the Israeli Air Force during some of its most critical years. Sleek, fast, and deadly in dogfights, the Mirage proved itself repeatedly in Israeli hands. But the embargo forced Israel to operate a fleet it could no longer maintain or expand. Every part became precious. Every component had to be reused, re-engineered, or reinvented. Engineers began taking the Mirage apart piece by piece, studying systems, aerodynamics, materials, and structural choices. They documented everything, photographed everything, measured everything. What began as survival engineering slowly turned into strategic innovation. The Mirage became a classroom teaching Israeli engineers how a modern fighter jet truly works. In the shadows of embargo pressure, a new idea formed. Don't just copy the Mirage, improve it. Israel wanted more thrust, more maneuverability, better avionics, and an airframe built for the unique conditions of Middle Eastern warfare. The Mirage wasn't the end. It was the foundation for Israel's first major leap into fighter jet development. From necessity came creativity, and from creativity came a new vision to build a fighter no one could take away. From studying the Mirage, Israel achieved what many thought was impossible. They secretly produced the Nesher, a near-identical Israeli-made version of the Mirage. But the Nesher was just the warm-up act. Once Israel proved it could build a jet, the next step was to build a better one, a fighter with more power and more flexibility. This led to the birth of the Kfir, the jet that shocked the world. Instead of using the original Mirage engine, Israel decided to integrate the powerful American General Electric J79, the same engine used in the F-4 Phantom. This changed everything. More thrust meant better acceleration. More speed meant better interception capability. The redesigned airframe improved stability, and the addition of Israeli avionics made the cockpit smarter and more combat effective. The Kfir became a symbol of Israeli ingenuity, a hybrid fighter that mixed proven airframe design with cutting-edge upgrades. It wasn't just a replacement for the Mirage. It was an evolution, turning a 1960s jet into something capable of performing like a modern aircraft. The Kfir's success gave Israel something it had never had before, confidence that it could design world-class fighters without relying on anyone else. The Kfir didn't just stay in Israel. It took off internationally. Several countries adopted it, including Colombia, Ecuador, and Sri Lanka. Even the United States borrowed Kfirs for aggressor training under the designation F-21A. That alone was a statement. When the U.S. military uses your jet to train its pilots, you're doing something right. Israel had proven to the world that it was no longer just a buyer of aviation technology. It was now a creator, a competitor, and a rising aerospace power. But despite the Kfir's success, Israel knew it could push further. The next jet wouldn't be based on the Mirage. It wouldn't be a hybrid. It would be fully Israeli, state-of-the-art, and capable of standing toe to toe with American, Russian, and European fighters. This was the birth of a bold idea, the IAI Lavi, a fighter designed not to imitate others, but to compete with them. The Kfir proved that Israeli engineers could innovate under pressure. The Lavi would prove they could innovate with ambition. What followed was Israel's most advanced and controversial fighter jet program ever, a project that would redefine the future of Israeli aviation. Even though the jet itself would never reach mass production, the Lavi program began with a simple question: what if Israel built a fighter specifically designed for its unique threats and missions? Instead of being optimized for global use, the Lavi would be optimized for one battlefield, the Middle East. That meant rapid acceleration, high maneuverability, excellent climb performance, and next-generation avionics. The design featured a sleek delta wing combined with a forward canard layout, giving it impressive agility. It also incorporated advanced fly-by-wire control systems, a cutting-edge cockpit layout, and Israel's growing expertise in electronics and sensor technology. The Lavi was intended to perform both air-to-air and air-to-ground missions with precision. It promised lower operating costs than American jets, while providing similar or even superior performance in certain roles. This was not just another aircraft, it was a statement of technological independence. As prototypes rolled out, the world took notice. Military experts were shocked that such a small nation was producing a fourth-generation fighter on par with the world's biggest aerospace powers. The Lavi was Israel's chance to stand on the same level as American and European manufacturers. But this bold vision came with massive costs and massive political consequences. As the Lavi grew closer to becoming reality, its price tag grew as well. For a small country, building an advanced fighter jet from scratch is enormously expensive. Every component, every system, every test flight demanded more money. The United States, which was helping fund the program, began to question whether Israel should continue. American officials worried the Lavi would compete against the US F-16 in global markets. Why would the US financially support a future rival? Pressure mounted. Within Israel, debates grew heated. Supporters argued the Lavi was critical for national independence and technological leadership. Opponents said the country simply couldn't afford it. The argument reached the highest level of government. Even military leaders were divided. Some believed the Lavi would secure Israel's future air superiority for decades. Others believed buying American jets would be far cheaper and allow Israel to expand its air force faster. Ultimately, the decision came down to survival, economic survival. Canceling the Lavi was heartbreaking, but it prevented a financial crisis. The program ended, but the story didn't. In fact, what happened next would become one of the Lavi program's greatest legacies, one that shaped Israel's aerospace industry for generations. Although the Lavi never became a mass-produced fighter, the knowledge gained from the program was priceless. Israel had achieved something few nations ever do, designing a complete fourth-generation fighter from the ground up. The engineers, designers, programmers, and technicians involved didn't disappear. They carried their expertise into new areas. Israeli avionics companies became world leaders. Flight control specialists developed systems later used in global aircraft. Drone technology advanced dramatically, influenced by the research done for the Lavi. In fact, many experts believe Israel's dominance in UAVs today can be traced directly back to the Lavi's canceled program. The experience also strengthened Israel's ability to collaborate on international aerospace projects. When Israel later joined development work on the F-35, it brought a level of technical sophistication the US did not expect from such a small country. The Lavi wasn't a failure, it was a launch pad. The jet never flew in squadrons, but its technology flew into dozens of future systems. Israel lost a fighter, but gained an aerospace revolution. And the world would feel the impact, especially in the next chapter of Israel's air power story. With the Lavi canceled, Israel faced a critical question. What next? The answer came through deepened cooperation with the United States. Israel began receiving F-15s and later F-16s, integrating them with Israeli electronics, sensors, and weapons. This combination, American airframes with Israeli brains, created incredibly powerful and unique versions of these jets. Systems originally developed for the Lavi found new homes inside F-15s, F-16s, and eventually the F-35. Israel's Air Force became a hybrid of global engineering and local innovation. The country that once struggled just to buy spare parts now modified world-class fighters to meet its own needs. This new phase of aviation development proved something important. Israel didn't need to build every jet from scratch to dominate the skies. Instead, Israel used its deep aerospace knowledge to elevate existing fighters far beyond their standard capabilities. The result was a new era of technological confidence and new international respect. The world now recognized Israel not only as a skilled operator of fighter jets, but as a developer of some of the most sophisticated avionics and weapons ever placed on them. But this transformation wouldn't have been possible without the Mirage, the Kfir, and the Lavi paving the way. Today, Israel operates some of the most advanced aircraft on the planet, including the F-350Y Adir, a customized variant Israel uniquely upgrades with its own systems. This is extremely rare. Most countries cannot modify the F-35 at all, but Israel can, thanks to decades of experience gained from building and designing its own jets. The Mirage taught Israel the basics. The Kfir taught Israel innovation. The Lavi taught Israel mastery and ambition. These lessons shaped everything that came afterward. When Israeli pilots fly missions today, they rely on Israeli-built sensors, electronic warfare suites, helmet systems, guidance packages, and mission computers. These technologies give Israel a level of strategic advantage unmatched in the region. And as drone warfare becomes increasingly important, Israel's early Lavi-era research is paying off once again. The nation has become a leader in UAVs, loitering munitions, and autonomous systems. Even nations that never knew the Lavi existed now benefit from its legacy through joint programs, exported tech, and Israeli innovations embedded in global aircraft. The story of Israel's fighter jets is no longer just about building planes. It's about building capability that continues to transform modern warfare. The evolution from Mirage to Kfir to Lavi is more than a timeline. It's a transformation shaped by pressure, creativity, and national survival. A nation denied access to foreign jets didn't collapse. It adapted, innovated, and rose to aerospace prominence. The Mirage theory provided the foundation. The Nesher and Kfir proved Israel could build and improve advanced fighters. The Lavi, although canceled, became a technological goldmine that fueled decades of innovation. And today, Israel stands as a nation whose avionics, radar systems, flight control software, and drones are used worldwide. This journey shows how adversity can push a country to achieve what once seemed impossible. What began as a desperate attempt to survive an embargo turned into one of the most impressive aerospace stories ever told. When you see an Israeli F-35I, a Kfir flying in another country, or a drone developed with Israeli tech, you are witnessing the legacy of this journey. A journey powered by bold decisions, risky engineering, and the unshakable belief that independence in the sky means security on the ground. From Mirage to Kfir to Lavi, Israel rewrote its destiny, one aircraft at a time. If you enjoyed this deep look into Israel's fighter jet evolution, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next military tech breakdown. Drop a comment telling us which jet you want us to cover next.